Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, my sound was all fuggy.
Oh, how's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's hot and muggy over here, which is kind of not so nice.
Oh, that's true. It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
It's getting colder here, so how warm is it right now?
Mid-20s, I think.
Oh, that is quite warm.
Yeah, yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I feel lucky though. My partner's working on a building site at the moment, and she sent me a
Mhm.
photo on morning tea, and she's like crawling around under buildings, like drilling into steel above her, and it looks awful.
Yeah, summertime and like building site sounds sweaty.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Looked like there was lots of stuff on the previous TypeScript meeting last night
hmm
or earlier.
hmm
Hi, how's it going?
Hey.
I think
Oh, I just realized it's already recording.
Mm-hmm. Yes, on auto
Nice.
record.
Mhm.
I like that this agenda doc has a fancy header image.
Mm. Yeah, it's nice. We could probably give it another minute to see if anyone else joins.
Was my Zoom glitching out, or did I just see a flash of somebody joining?
I saw it too. Not sure who it was, but it was very quick.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it is open on a few public calendars, so anyone at the company could join. I think it's on create stage and the editor extension. Maybe also the front end calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, I see three of them.
Hmm.
Hmm. Anyway, let's get started. So yeah, thanks both of you for voting for the PicTet. Having a look at the results, there's a couple of clear sort of winners with the most votes. First one being introduce an end-to-end test of the integration with the web IDE, I guess for the VS Code extension. And then the second one is similar. It's identify 3 key features and cover them with end-to-end tests. So yeah, both identified as pretty important. Then we have a few a few that got 2 votes, which were debugging the language server shows minified code, a spike to investigate automated schema validation for GraphQL queries, the create the client tracking context provided dependency injection component, and remove legacy approach for managing the language server connection brackets message handler. Yeah.
Nice. Top two both related to E2E tests. I guess that's the thing on people's minds.
Yep. Common theme. I think that makes sense because we've had stability issues lately, especially with like relating to instance version stuff, and also with the web IDE. That's something that's been, I guess, brewing for a long time. Now that we're doing more regular integration into the web IDE, it's kind of we're feeling more pain from whenever we change something that and it breaks the web IDE. I would guess as well, just because the team's just ever growing, that and we're just contributing more and more things to the VS Code extension, that we're just more likely to break the integration there. So yeah, some sort of test would be awesome. I added a comment to that one because I raised a similar one about a month ago. That was not marked as tech debt, but it's almost an identical issue. So I voted for Thomas's one as well. Because yeah, I think it's super important. Yeah. One thing I was wondering with that is maybe there's a way we can get some like SET counterpart help on it. Because I know we have the create stage has Jay here. And yeah, what I'm not sure about is like, is there a process to like maybe grab some of his time to help our team out? This would be the perfect, like a really good candidate for that. Both of these two issues. So yeah.
True. Yeah, I'm not sure how that normally works. I've just seen him jumping into various things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's a good bang for buck to get the tests in place and get things a bit more locked down.
Oh, just adding a note in the agenda.
Sorry, what's the SET stands for again?
Software engineer in testing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like engineering role focused on testing. That's off the top of my head, but I haven't looked at it for a while. I just tried to find the job description, but I can't. My Google was failing
Oh,
me.
don't worry, it's okay.
But yeah, good question. Yeah. Yeah. No, it would be great to at least, I guess, something we could do is get it on his radar. I don't know how he prioritizes stuff, but yeah, something we could ask him. But this is, I would almost say like something like this is important enough that it could go up to definitely like Dasha and Maverick, but maybe even to Dava if she's sort of in charge of prioritizing stuff for the create stage SET. Because yeah, it's definitely something that's been hitting us as a team, but also customers. And having the web ID be out of date, and by having the like certain issues crop up that could have been caught by end-to-end tests. So yeah, definitely think it's worth escalating if we can.
Yes, definitely something better to do earlier than later, and it's just gonna get piled up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Better to
Mm.
have it catch issues before they happen rather than the situation we're in now where we're saying like, oh yeah, we've broken functionality like multiple times in the extension and therefore we need tests. Yeah. Okay, next one in the agenda. Um, yeah, I probably won't read out like the full agenda because
Mhm.
it's there for us to read. But if anyone has anything they wanted to talk about in relation to the EMEA friendly meeting, then I guess yeah, now's a good time to bring it up. There was one thing I wanted to read out, which was a point I added about RxJS. So yeah, one question in my mind is whether we had a spike a while ago to assess like how we can improve the config handler process. So like when you change some config in the language server, how that propagates out to the different services and classes and components and stuff. So the result of that was that RxJS is really good, will be really good for that specific use case. And then this follow-up question I have is like, if we're going to introduce it for the config handlers, should we also allow it outside of the config handlers? Yeah, that might be a bit more of a can of worms because RxJS has like a specific way of doing things, and that can maybe like, I don't know, some people might say it would like infect like bits of code and that they sort of change completely to like the RxJS way of doing things, and it might not be as friendly and readable to everyone. So yeah, that's the concern I had about adopting it everywhere. But yeah, I wanted to find out what other people think.
Yeah, definitely found it to be quite pervasive in previous code bases where I've worked on. Like once things are in observables or subjects, then mapping them out of it again can get a bit cumbersome all over the place. And so often it's easier just to keep things as an observable stream all the way through. So it sort of does spread, which I don't mind personally. I quite like that style. But I do wonder how it's going to fit in with like all of the plugin message bus and all of these other kind of eventing messaging systems that aren't quite streams. I guess we'll be able to write some integrations.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so I mean the good thing is we don't have to decide right away, but I just wanted to bring up the concept so that as people are writing code, they might think like, oh, RxJS would be great for this, and maybe that's some plus points towards adopting it outside of the config handlers. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. Yeah. The other thing I noted on the agenda that I wanted to comment on was the Angelo brought up that we need Windows runners. We don't have cache Windows runners. Yeah, so that sounds good to me. Like, I think we do have a big gap on Windows development. Yeah, so it'd be good to introduce those. I don't know how we get that done. I don't think there's like an issue. Or maybe it's this speed up integration tests.
You know why we don't have cache Windows runners? Is it just not been set up, or is there something fundamentally kind of stopping us doing it?
I don't know. Yeah. Good question. There is, yeah, I think there's like CI/CD features that could be implemented by other teams that might help. I guess that means like the Windows runner story isn't fully mature at GitLab, maybe. Yeah. But it looks like the suggestion is to have it only run on merge trains. Yeah. And yeah, that issue below that bullet point, that speed up integration test, just does directly relate to this one. So looks like that's where the conversation continued. Yeah.
I mean, that seems pretty reasonable to run it on merge train. Like, it will be annoying if it catches something at that point, but also the types of issues that are going to be caught are probably reasonably rare.
Yeah. I have a secondary idea for this. The monolith has these new tier pipelines
True.
that trigger off approvals. So, I mean, it's only probably a little bit earlier in the game, but the idea would be maybe you trigger some expensive jobs once it has an approval by a label, which means the author could also manually add the label if the author's like, hey, this needs to go really fast, because it's like I don't know, something like upgrading the language server in the VS Code extension. You could add or doing a release, you could like add the label automatically, and like, so you have the expensive pipeline run straight away, to minimize the amount of like delay that there might be if it fails. But yeah, that's just like another way we could do it. I think the first step is definitely just have it on the merge train though, and as a manual step for the standard pipeline, as Frederick suggested.
Is it, yeah. I'm wondering, is it possible to add that label like at the point that a review is added or a review is requested? Like, I'm thinking, because we only usually have a single reviewer in this, if we had the tier label like it's done in the monolith, then you'd get this review it, approve it, then it would run a slow pipeline and then a merge train. So it would just kind of happen around the same time. But if it was happened earlier, like when you request a review, or just like you said, like when the author decides that it's ready.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. I don't know the mechanism of how the tiered pipeline thing works, like how it decides to add the label.
It's part of the GitLab bot that does it, right? Not actual GitLab product. I think.
Probably, yeah. So it may be possible to. I mean, I don't see why like an approval would be any different from adding a reviewer in terms of setting up that. There must be a script running in the background that does it. So yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, that's a nice one as well, because often you would, I mean, in our team we will often only have one review anyway. And there's usually a delay between us signing and when the reviewer gets to it. So filling that gap, that time gap with like an expensive pipeline is kind of a nice idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that way I guess there will be one less cycle between reviewer too. Because after you fix like window runner, you might want to reach out. No, can you check again? And then it's like another loop.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Because adding it on approval, it's in that way it's kind of the same as adding it on the merge train, because it's like it's like the review is done, so they hit approve, they hit merge when pipeline succeeds. It's kind of the same, like both pipelines are just happening one after each other, but doing it earlier is a bit nicer. That's almost like, I would almost say that it could be an improvement for the monolith as well. When I think the tier 3 thing works from when the last required, or when like a maintainer approves it, or when the last required approver approves it, or something like that. Because I often notice it when I'm maintaining something, when I approve it, it'll tick up to tier 3. But it would actually be better if it had ticked up to tier 3 when it was assigned to me. Because then I don't have to, we don't have that extra cycle time. And also, like, it's quite common that there'll be a comment saying, can you please run the end-to-end tests? Because the auto, like, decision making around that doesn't catch every case. But I think they always run on tier 3 pipeline. So yeah, no, it's actually a great idea.
It kind of works well at the moment on the monolith when there's multiple maintainers. Like if the back end is approved, then by the time I log on and take a look at it, it's already run. But a lot of the time, if I'm the only maintainer, it's a front end issue, then I just approve, wait for this whole thing, and then I don't know. I guess the monolith pipeline is so slow anyway that it's like a set it and go do something else and forget about it thing.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to call out on the agenda?
Oh, just regarding the pre-commit, we don't have that in VS Code project, right? Like extension. Just curious if why we don't have any.
Oh, like left hook, you mean? I'm not sure. I actually disabled left hook for
LS or
because it wasn't working for me. I think it was like something to do with Python and Xcode tools and all of that. It would just break quite often. But no, it does look like we have left hook
in VS Code. Oh, maybe just not doing anything for me.
Or maybe we did.
I don't see a hook in my VS Code Git directory for it.
For some reason, I added a blank left hook file to VS Code, which is one way to disable left hook. But there might have been an old thing that got removed or something. Yeah, good question. There's definitely things we could have there, like the TypeScript compile.
I think I often have like lint error. I don't know what's everyone's process on it. I sometimes discover my lint errors on MR. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot to run it and then just like fix it and then commit again. So maybe I'm missing something here.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't tend to get that because it runs in the editor on save for me.
Maybe I disabled it or
Mm,
something. I should take a look.
it is it can be tricky to configure that stuff, especially when you have Prettier and ESLint running. And in the GitLab frontend guide, there is an example VS Code config to get it to work. I think you have to, it's a bit fiddly with like providing some actual config that you had to add to your editor to get it to do the right one at the right time. Because they can stomp on each other, like Prettier and ESLint.
Yeah, I definitely sometimes get formatting errors in merge requests. I think often if I rebase, then I don't get the stuff running on my editor.
True.
Yeah, definitely quite like Prettier to run in a hook. That would be quite nice. I just spam npm run autofix like all the time and hope that I've remembered.
So that relates to a AMER in the language server to reorganize the CI a bit, and add the TS compile to the left hook. So yeah.
TS compile in language server is reasonably quick, isn't it?
Does it run over? I guess it runs over all of the packages. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't tried just running that locally for a while.
Yeah, npm run compiles pretty like less than a second for me.
Nice. That's good.
So that would be pretty fine in a hook, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I just tried that as fast as. Yeah, good question though about VS Code extension. I don't know why we don't have any there. Could be a good issue to raise. I personally wouldn't mind doing that for a few of the tasks, as long as they're not too slow. That actually reminds me of another thing that I've noticed we're missing in our repos, which is that we don't, like in the monolith, there's a yarn verify command that does like an integrity check. We don't have that, so it's actually not uncommon that I'll see, like on the latest main, something's been merged. But if you run npm install locally, the package lock has changes. So it's like it's not perfectly matching. Like it just means someone committed a change to the package JSON without the corresponding package lock change. So that would be something that would be nice to add as well. I don't think we have an issue for that.
That would be good. Looks like there's a npm prune that does that.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's
I looked into it once and it's like not as easy on npm compared to Yarn. Yarn has like an inbuilt thing for it, but people have rigged up like scripts that do the same thing with npm. I think it's just a little bit more involved, but it can be added to a script pretty easily.
It's a little surprising that doing an npm CI doesn't kind of do something like that.
Yeah, it is slightly surprising. Cool. Anything else?
Nope.
Cool. Let's wrap it up. Thanks, everyone.
You.
See you next month.
Let us know.
Yeah.